Frank is telling his niece Mary to get ready for school. He tells her he is making a special breakfast for her. Mary is reluctant and makes excuses, such as who will take care of her one-celled cat, Fred. Frank tells her that Fred will be fine. She asks about the special breakfast she was told about, and Frank shows her a box of Kellogg's cereal with special written on it, which leaves her disappointed. Frank sees her off at the bus stand, where Mary proceeds to go to school for the first time. Roberta, who is Frank's neighbor, follows him to his house. She expresses her concern about Mary going to school. She thinks something might happen to her. Frank looks nervous. Later, Mary is at school and looks like she would rather be anywhere than here. Her teacher, Bonnie, goes around the classroom asking the children simple math problems. Mary looks at her and the rest of the class with disdain because she thinks Bonnie's questions are easy. The teacher starts asking Mary relatively complex questions, but Mary answers them easily. As the questions get more difficult, especially when reaching multiplication, Mary hesitates a bit, which Bonnie takes as a sign to stop. After a few moments of silence, Mary answers the multiplication question correctly. Bonnie grabs the calculator to check. It's correct. She feels shocked and learns that Mary is not just an ordinary child. The principal, Miss Davis, was introduced to the first-grade students. The class treats her respectfully. Mary behaves quite casually and yells at Davis and Bonnie to call Frank and tell him to get her out of here. Later that day, Frank comes to pick up Mary. Bonnie talks to her. She tries to make her realize that Mary is not an ordinary child. Frank dissuades her, saying that it is just the Jaco-Trachtenberg method that Mary used to calculate the math questions Bonnie asked in class. Bonnie says that Mary is only 7 years old, to which Frank replies that he learned the same method when he was 8, meaning it's no big deal. Bonnie later discovered and observed the Jaco-Trachtenberg method, which impressed her greatly. Frank is working on a boat. Mary asks him if they can take the boat for a test drive. They spend time together on the beach. They chat about various things, and Frank tells Mary that his mother wants them to be friends. Mary brings Fred to school and shows him to her classmates. She tells them that she only has one eye. The children ask him, how did he lose his eye? Mary replied that she did not know about this, because she had found him in the garbage just like that, and had, in a way, saved him. Bonnie comes closer to Marie. She assigns her extra homework, knowing she will complete her work quicker than most students. Mary smiles at Bonnie, and Bonnie returns her smile with a loving face of her own. They mix well in the class. Bonnie researched more about the Mary family, first looking up descriptions of Frank, but her search yielded no meaningful results. She reads about Frank's sister, Diane. Diane is a child genius and excels in mathematics. MIT professor Seymour Shankland calls him extraordinary, saying he has an outstanding mind, a mind that can help the world. As Bonnie reads further, she learns that Diane ended her own life at the age of 27. She left a daughter named Mary with her brother Frank. Bonnie visits Frank at his local bar. Frank opens up to her, telling her that he was running late for a date when Diane showed up at his house unannounced with a baby, Mary. She told Frank that she needed to talk to him. Frank dismisses her, saying that he will hear from her when he returns from his date. That night, when he returned home, he found Mary on the couch and Diane on the bathroom floor. Although it's not entirely his fault, he still thinks he should have known. Bonnie asks about other family members. Frank responded that Mary's biological father did not live a month, abandoning Diane. His mother is very strict. She is an uncompromising woman, completely British. Mary is on the bus to school. She sees her classmate boarding the bus with a good project in his hand. She feels anxious at first, thinking that her project is not good enough. Little boy trying to make his way. A 12-year-old boy bullies him, causing the poor boy to stumble and spoil his work. The bully joins the other children in laughing at him and teasing him. Mary comes to his rescue and tells the children to stop it. She hits the crook on the face with a book. Frank is later walking to Mary's school and passes by the bully, who has a bleeding nose. He immediately checks on Mary, making sure she is okay. Principal Davis explains to Frank that beating people up is not allowed. Frank tells her that he will make sure Mary understands this, although he is proud of her for standing up to the bully. The principal says she would like Mary to attend the Oaks Academy for Gifted Education, where she can be educated at a level that matches her abilities. Frank brings up financial concerns. She guarantees a full travel scholarship for Mary. Frank turns down the offer, saying that Mary should be treated like a normal child and sent to a regular school. Bonnie asked him if he was sure about his decision, and he said he didn't know. Mary apologizes to her classmates for her behavior. She and the rest of the class compliment Justin, the little boy who is her classmate, telling her that her zoo was the best art project. Frank and Mary arrive home to find their grandmother, Evelyn, waiting at their door. Evelyn brings herself a fancy laptop with a book about Charles Zimmer's advanced algebra. Mary tells him indifferently that she has already read the book and is now covering differential equations. Frank thanks him to Evelyn. Evelyn is not satisfied with Frank's living conditions and calls him out on it. Frank and Evelyn meet for lunch. She says she is worried about Mary and wants her to live in a better environment. She warns Frank that the authorities will be involved. Frank tells him that Diane would not want him to get custody of Mary. Evelyn calls Mary's mother, Diane, and Frank weak. She subtly tells her that the case is going to court. Frank and Mary hang out together. She asks him questions about God and faith. He says that he has his own opinion, which may be wrong, so he has no right to spoil his opinion. Mary mentions Roberta. He says that Roberta has faith and loves her very much. He tells her that he knows everyone will end up together, and that's all that matters in the end. Roberta proves that she cares deeply for her by appearing in court to help Frank win custody of Mary against her mother. It becomes clear that Evelyn plans to take Mary with her to Massachusetts. Frank wants her to stay with him. Later, Frank asks Roberta to keep an eye on Mary throughout the night. Roberta agrees that she is just a neighbor, not a true relative or someone whose opinion would be valued, but she loves Mary very much. Mary spends the night at Roberta's, singing with her and having a good time. On the other hand, Bonnie and Frank meet at the bar. She explains to him that it was not she who leaked the information to Davis. They get closer over drinks and have interesting conversations. Bonnie tells him that she cannot risk being intimate with him, but they eventually spend the night together. Mary is searching for a DVD at Frank's house. She sees Bonnie quietly leaving Frank's room and becomes snarky about it. Frank comes to know about this and is disappointed, saying that he cannot live his life even for some time. She gets upset and leaves. Later, Frank apologizes to Mary and they reconcile. Roberta is blaming Frank for his irresponsible behavior as he checks his mail outside and learns that Mary is going to spend 2 days in Boston with her grandmother. When Mary goes to Boston with her grandmother, she looks at family photos, including photos of her mother and grandmother when she was younger. Back in Florida, Bonnie and Frank become even closer. Evelyn takes Mary to university and tells her about the 7 millennium problems. Marie was shown a photograph of Grigory Perelman, who had worked on the Poincare conjecture. Evelyn reminisces how Diane too could have been honored and had her picture put on the wall if she had solved the Navier-Stokes equation. Mary expresses her wish to be featured on the wall someday as well. After this, they meet Professor Shankland, and she is handed a difficult equation to solve by Professor Shankland. After seeing that she has been unable to solve it for quite some time, he tells Evelyn that perhaps Mary is not so capable. Evelyn walks away angrily with him, regretting coming to Shankland, when Mary tells her that the equation was wrong and therefore could not be solved. They go back to Shankland, and the equation is corrected by Mary. She solves it by the end, leaving Shankland feeling overwhelmed. When they return home, Mary tells Frank that although Evelyn is nice, she does not want to live with her. He promises her that she will not go anywhere. Mary meets a social worker, Pat, who asks her various questions about her life. Mary mentions watching the final fight with Frank. She also tells him that she promised to keep him with her and that he is a good guy. Pat asks her why she thinks that, to which she replies that Frank wanted her from the beginning, despite her smarts. Mary's biological father is brought to court. He wants Evelyn to have custody of Mary. Mary's father is embarrassed by Frank's lawyer, who makes him realize that he does not even know his daughter's middle name and that he has never seen her in real life. Frank wins this round in court. He walks her to her car. She tells him that she doesn't like having differences with her son. Frank says they have always had differences of opinion. Mary locks herself in and begins to cry hysterically because her dead father does not come to see her when he is in town. Later, Frank goes to the hospital with Mary and Roberta. They wait for the birth of a child together. Frank tells Mary that she was born that way and that everyone was happy with her birth. He tells her that he has broken the news of Mary's birth to everyone. Mary celebrated with her family in the hospital. Later, when Evelyn testifies in court, Frank's attorney noted his references to baseball. He and Evelyn engage in a heated discussion about Diane not being allowed to do anything except study mathematics. He never played sports or lived a normal life. Frank's lawyer mentions Paul, Diane's first love of 17 years. Paul and Diane escape to a resort in Vermont to go skiing. He resents Evelyn for filing a lawsuit against him, pressing kidnapping charges and harassing Diane, leading to her attempted suicide in 1999. Evelyn insisted that it was nothing major and that she tried her best to be a good mother to Diane. Frank testifies and says he's a YouTuber. He makes movie recap videos. Evelyn's lawyer expressed concerns regarding Mary's health care, education, and life. Frank insists that he wants her to live like a normal child. The lawyer also tells of how Mary attacked a child who was being bullied at school and how she once attacked a man. Frank says it was self-defense against a drunk man at the bar and admits to spending a night in jail because of the incident. Later that evening, Frank's lawyer suggests that Mary be temporarily assigned to a foster family. When she turns 12, she can make decisions in court regarding her living situation. The foster family lives in Tampa. Frank can reach her easily because he is only 30 minutes away. Evelyn will also get visiting rights. Feeling choiceless, he sends Mary to live in Tampa. She doesn't take it easily. She cries and pleads with Frank not to leave her alone, reminding him that he promised he wouldn't leave her. Roberta and Frank mourn Mary's absence. Later, Frank tells Bonnie that he thought several times about turning Mary over to child services, but he could never let her go. He blames himself for this mess. He tries to meet Mary, but the foster father tells him she does not want to meet him. Frank is heartbroken. Roberta consoles him. Bonnie sees a poster for adoptable pets with Fred's picture on it. She sends it to Frank, who drives madly to animal services and manages to rescue Fred along with 2 other cats. Evelyn is the one who first put Fred up for adoption. Frank and Roberta rush to meet Mary and succeed in bringing her back when Frank shows Evelyn documents that prove that Diane had indeed finished the proof for the Navier-Stokes equation. He tells Evelyn that Diane wanted it published after her mother's death. She is shocked, meaning Evelyn repressed Diane's desires. Frank and Mary eventually reconcile, and they are very happy to be together as they drive with Roberta. Evelyn looks at the tear-stained notes with doodles on them and starts crying. She calls MIT and contacts Shankland. Mary goes to university, after which Frank comes to pick her up. They talk in the car. He hands her a book by René Descartes about existence. She jokes with him about it. Frank drops her off at the park, where she joins the other Girl Scouts and plays happily with them. Frank smiles warmly at Bonnie from a distance. Thanks so much for watching. Let us know your thoughts on the film in the comments section below. If you enjoyed the video, please like it, and also watch some of our other videos. And before you go, make sure to subscribe to the channel for more movie recaps.